I just read something on the internet, and I'll provide the link in the description below so you guys can read it for yourself. But it was a discussion that Steve Wozniak, I didn't read the location or why he was giving this speech, probably just giving a speech at some local college or some event. But what he mentioned is that the co-founder of Apple, who really doesn't have much control over Apple anymore, but he is still the co-founder with him and Steve Jobs, is that iTunes should be made available on both Android and Windows Phone. I totally agree. They should open up that market. Now, one of the commenters mentioned that it's not the fact that should iTunes open up their market, whether they want to do it or not, it's whether the music that they have licensed on their network, would they allow it? Do they have a license to open up the music that's sold on iTunes to Android and Windows Phone? So here's what I can see happening. If that's the case, and if that is such an agreement that they have with the record companies, that a lot of music that iTunes has in their library may not all be available on in the library of Windows Phone and Android. Now, this will produce a very interesting competition. If Google Play, which can offer music, movies, podcasts, and other features that can make some money for Google, if Windows or Xbox Live and iTunes is available on all three platforms, that will make an amazing competition thing that will definitely add some value to all mobile phones. Because here's the thing, there are some people who switch platforms like every year. They're like, okay, I'm going to have an Android. Oh, okay, I'm tired of Android. I'm going to go to iTunes or iPhone, I mean. Oh, no, okay, I want to switch to Windows Phone. There are people like that. There are people in this world that will switch from one phone to another, one platform to another, because they're that kind of person, They're not stuck on one particular platform like I am, Whether Chris Perillo, I'm just going to say this, whether he likes it or not, whether he agrees to it himself or not, he is stuck on the Apple platform. He just prefers it. He may have, a Chromebook, an Apple Mac, Windows 7, Windows 8 sitting around the house. He may have an iPhone. He may have, a couple of Galaxy tablets and phones sitting around, Nexus 7. But the main product that he uses most is his iPad, his iPod, not iPod, but his iPad, iPhone, and his Mac. He does his video editing on his Mac. That is his main platform. He prefers Mac. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with preferring one system over another. My boss today, one of my the team leaders at work, he came to me and asked me and said, hey, I've been with iPhone since iPhone 2. And I had the iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4S, and now I'm thinking about going to iPhone 5. But before I do that, since I've been with Apple for so long, I want to make a switch. And I know that you are a big Microsoft fan. What do you think of the Nokia Lumia 920? I told him, it's a beautiful phone. It works. I love it, but what phone would you prefer to have? He was like, well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. So then I said to him, how many apps do you own on your Apple iPhone? Oh, man, I uninstalled a lot of apps but to make room, but I have probably like over 1,000 apps purchased so far. And then I asked him, can you re-download those apps at any time? He said, yeah. He said, the information is stored and you can always re-download them. So if I need an app that I don't have on my phone anymore but I already paid for it, you can always re-download it. Okay, cool. I didn't know that, And I know Windows Phone you can, but I wasn't really sure about how that works on iPhone. So it works the same. Google Play, probably the same thing as well. All right, great. So you bought the apps. You have a great ecosystem that's already working for you. Go with the iPhone 5. Stay with it. It works for you. Because he didn't say he was totally sick and tired. He was just considering it, whether he should go with the iPhone or the Windows Phone or Android, He spoke to someone else about Android. And what happened? I came to work today, and he had a Galaxy Note sitting on his desk, brand spanking new. And I was like, I guess he went with, the Android. But, everybody has their preferences. I told you that story because, yes, I'm a big Microsoft fan, and I would defend them all the way. But everybody has a reason for liking what they have. Since I've always worked for companies that uses Microsoft products, since I have Office 365 account, and I have a SkyDrive account that's over 25 gigs, naturally, I'm just going to stick with what I know. That's just me, Will I ever get a Mac in the future? Maybe, I may purchase a Mac one day. Who knows? It's not a big deal if I purchase a Mac. Doesn't mean that I don't like Microsoft anymore, But there's nothing, at this time, okay, I'm talking about today. Tomorrow may be different. At this time, there is nothing on a Mac that I would want to buy. Absolutely nothing. The only thing is video editing. And I can do all that on Sony Vegas Pro for $700, $600, whatever. Maybe eventually Sony will make it available for download in the Microsoft Store and sell it for even cheaper than that, because the Final Cut Pro, I know, if that's the name of the program, I know I'm twisting it up a little bit, used to be about $600. It used to be very expensive. The price was reduced when they made it available on iTunes in the App Store. Now you can purchase it for like $200 or $300. If you buy the box set, it will still cost you about $600. So I'm thinking that Sony will eventually make their program available in the Windows Store, Microsoft Store, Xbox Live, whatever they're calling it, making it where you can download it to your Windows Phone 8, or Windows 8, machine, and there you go. It'll probably be like $200 or $300 to compete with Final Cut Edit or Final Edit Pro, whatever that program's called. All right, let me make it across the street here. But that is essentially the only reason. What I can do on a PC is the same. What I can do on a Mac is the same I can do on a PC. They have Adobe Photoshop for PC, and it works the same. There's not really any less of features available. In order to run Photoshop, any other program on a Mac, you're still going to need a powerful Mac. You're going to need dual-core processor or quad-core processor, Intel, i7. You're going to need all those special processors and RAM in order for it to run properly on a Mac. And that's just the way it is. The same thing is if you have a PC, you're going to need a quad-core, 50 billion cricket quads of RAM and all that good stuff. Eventually I'm going to walk across the street here. So, let me get across the street here safely. So, that's just, that's what you're going to have. You're still going to need a powerful Mac in order to run a good video editing program. Yes, you can still run Sony Vegas and Final Cut Edit Pro, whatever it's called, on a Mac if you don't have all the high-speed stuff. If you don't have the most RAM and the highest processor speeds, you can still run it. It'll just be slower, and you may experience a little bit of lag. Okay, you're going to experience some lag, but it will still work, and you can still get the same job done, just not as fast. The processing and the rendering will take longer on a slower computer than it would on a high-speed computer with a lot of RAM. So it doesn't really make any difference if you have a Mac or a PC. Now, this used to be the case back in the days, where having a Mac made a difference. When it came to desktop publishing, video editing in some way, because with video editing, you need like another processor, a graphic processing unit, usually by Silicon Graphics, to process all that video. Now, you don't need a whole lot of machine. I mean, in fact, a really good editing machine can probably cost you about $2,000, including software. Doesn't matter if it's on a PC or a Mac. In fact, it'll probably be just slightly cheaper on a PC. You could probably, okay, I'll say it like this. For about $1,800, you can always go higher, okay? You can always get the very best PC in the world for $3,000. But you can get a really good PC with Sony Vegas Pro, and some extra software like Photoshop. Oh, okay, let's add a few things to that. Actually, I'm going to change the list a little bit. Let's add Adobe Photoshop, Adobe After Effects. Let's add the whole entire CS suite. Okay. Let's add Sony Vegas. Let's add a computer with incredible amounts of RAM. Let's add a computer with a very good quad-core processor. And a PC, well, that PC with software will cost you about $3,000. Okay? Maybe just a tad bit more, but about $3,000. Now, if you go for a Mac with Final Cut Edit Pro, with all the entire Adobe suite, CS suite, a really good Mac, it'll probably cost you about, anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000, give or take a few bucks, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. It's your choice. And Steve Wozniak, I know we've gotten into two different topics here. The first topic was about Steve Wozniak making a comment about iTunes, Google Play, and, well, he made a point about iTunes being available for Windows Phone and Android as well, to open up their market. The only issue I can see with that is that Apple has a specific license to only run its application on Mac products or Apple products only. Well, on iPhone only when it comes to mobile phones, because you can get iTunes on a PC. and but not available for Windows Phone or Android. So they might have to change some of their licensing with all the different record companies to make that available for Windows Phone and Android. I agree with Wozniak though. I think that they should work on it at least start the paperwork and get things rolling in that direction, so that maybe by this time next year, iTunes will be available for all platforms, including BlackBerry 10. if that somehow comes around, who knows how that's going to turn out? I mean, hey, you guys never know. BlackBerry may kick some ass next year, and Microsoft and everybody else better keep their eyes open and peeled, because BlackBerry used to be on top of the world. You never know. They might come up with some shit that's going to blow everybody away. Be like, oh, goddamn. That is some shit, you know? They probably wait for everybody else, everybody else to, okay, we're going to see what everybody else is going to do first, and then we're going to, okay, Android came up with that. Windows Phone did this. iPhone did that. Well, they didn't really do much this year, but okay. We're going to come up with some shit that's going to blow everybody's asses out the water. Who knows? Or them could die, I mean, we'll see. I mean, no one can't really determine how things are going to turn, because who knew that Android was going to be the top selling smartphone in the world 2 or 3 years ago? Okay? I mean, no one knew that. No one saw that coming. You have to agree with that. No one saw that coming, because iPhone was on top of the world, especially when 3GS came out. And then after that, Android came up. So when 2.3 came out, Android just blew up. Now I'm sitting at 16 minutes right now, and I have no idea where my bus is at. So I think this will become an iLog, sHiZ iLog, but I really don't know what I'm going to call it, because it started out with me talking about Steve Wozniak to people's choices in computers, especially when I started talking about Chris Perillo. So I kind of deviated a lot in this conversation, and I do apologize for that. I do tend to do that a lot, because I try to make a point, and the point is, it's hard to make a point when you're trying to be biased. Even though I am honest about my choice, I'm not going to down anybody else's choice. That's something I'm not going to do. I do tease a lot. I do tease at it, but it's harmless teasing, and some people do take it the wrong way. But then at the end, I always say, hey, it's your choice. You pick what's good for you. You pick what works with you, and that's it. So, going to go ahead and check out for now. I'm sitting at 18 minutes. Peace out.